20 years after working for the National Park Service in Rocky Mountain National Park, 3 of us are out hiking again. We hike every year, pick a different spot, not necessarily a spot that's in a national park. And this year, we're in a state park in Southern California. I work 7 seasons in Rocky Mountain National Park. 2 on the entrance gates, 2 on the dispatch office, and 2 as a backcountry ranger. It seems like, although I've left the national park has not left me. The only outward sign of this, perhaps, is the backpack that I carry, the one that's so retro, so out of style, but that seems to remind me of those days back then. Here's Pat. Pat worked in the national park, first in the backcountry office for 2 years, then in the dispatch office for 2 years, and then as a backcountry ranger. Pat, what did those years mean to you when you worked in the Park Service?
Well, I tell my kids that those were some of the best summers of my life, until they were born, of course. But truly it was a time in our lives where we were, I think, looking for adventure, and we really found it in our summers at the Park Service. It was an exciting time. It was a time where we felt like a group that was protecting the park. We took our jobs pretty seriously, and yet we couldn't believe we were being paid for being out in the wilderness.
This is Teresa. Teresa worked in the park 2 years. First year as a volunteer in the park, and the second year at the naturalist front desk in interpretation and as a dispatcher. Teresa, why did you decide to start volunteering in the park?
Well, my brother was living up there that summer and was working on the trail crew, and I went up to stay with him and started hiking in the park and realized I'd really like to stay there, so I inquired into volunteer opportunities, and I ended up staying there for a while, leaving and then coming back as an employee. I spent a lot of time on the trails there, and I love the park.
Although Pat and Teresa and I have been hiking together for several years, we're not the only 3 that go on these annual trips. Several other women have sort of gone in and out. At this point, there's a group of 6 of us, with only 3 of us having the Park Service in our blood, which goes to show that Park Service isn't a prerequisite for understanding or feeling close to these kinds of landscapes. Here's Brenda. Since 1986, she's been going with the group.
Hi, Cass.
Brenda, why do you think that you started going with us, and what interested you about it?
Well, come along and I'll tell you. You know, I have liked backpacking in the outdoors since I first did it when I was 14. And, you know, when we became friends and you asked me to go, there would be no way that I wouldn't want to go. You know, I always love backpacking, and still, you know, it's the only thing that really gets me completely away from the rest of my life.
What's better with this group is the camaraderie, the positive spirit. People don't whine, people don't complain. We just have a great time and enjoy the world. Can I tell one short story?
Mm-hmm.
A few years ago, we were backpacking in Death Valley, and we came to a spring that was dry, and we had to face the day of packing out for 8 hours the next day with virtually no water. And again, nobody complained, nobody blamed. We just went to bed and thought, okay, tomorrow's going to be an unpleasant day, but it'll be fine. I mean, what a group.
We are very supportive. When somebody's a little bit weak or a little bit slower, everybody just takes care of them. And what's amazing about that to me is this is a type A group. Everybody has an opinion, get the maps out. Everybody's looking at the map saying, no, let's go here, and we all get along. So it's quite remarkable, I think, that there's this strong set of personalities, and yet there is this feeling of we're in it together, we support each other. And for me it's been nice because I did not grow up hiking or backpacking. I never went hiking or backpacking until I was in my 20s. And so it's an experienced group, and they took me in, even though I didn't have that experience. And I feel like whoever shows up, whatever people need, is accommodated. So I just think it's wonderful.
We've grown so used to each other and working as a unit, and we talk about doing this until into our 90s, and things might be a little different then. I was talking before about when I first started these trips and why I did, and it was a really different type of trip for me because I'd never gone on a trip with all women. I really had not gone into parks much because you know, in my mind that was where all the rules and regulations happened, and meeting Cassie and Teresa and Pat, who had been park rangers, brought a new perspective to me because it was clear, you know, they weren't there to provide rules and regulations. They had to do that, but they were really trying to see that everybody enjoyed the experience as much as they could, and that's you know, it's not surprising they had that goal because to all of us, our lives would be really different if we didn't have this outdoor experience.